Hey there, I'm Giesbrecht. I'm with Team Prodigy, and I want to show you what I'm throwing this season. We're going to start off with putters. So I like to putt with the P Model US. I've got 3 of them in my bag. 2 of them are my main putting putters. I like the beadless and kind of shallow feel of this putter. It goes nice and straight for me, fights the wind a little bit too. So I'm currently got these 2 that I'm working in for my putting putters. I also have this green one here as well. This one is a little bit more seasoned. I use it for just jump putts, longer approach shots, things like that. Basically anything within 250 feet or so, I'm usually reaching for this guy. Still goes pretty straight even though it's a little beat up. Moving on, I do have one throwing putter. Again, the P Model US is kind of my go-to. This one's in the ProFlex plastic. It's pretty new. Goes straight, a little bit overstable, and basically if I'm throwing a drive with a putter, if I want it to go left, if I want it to get pretty far, but not tail off and hyzer out, P Model US ProFlex, that's what I'm going with. Going more into the approach discs, I do throw the distortion. So the distortion is kind of for me an in-between. It's not quite in that mid-range category. It's still a putter. Got lots of glide. I enjoy throwing it for overstable shots, mainly backhand. It's a little too not stiff enough for forehand shots for me, but I'm really liking it for backhand shots. Nice and overstable, fights the wind. Really liking that one. Mainly though, when I'm doing approach shots, I'm going with the A2. So I've got 2 of them in the bag here. I've got a 300 plastic A2 that's getting nice and beat up, as you can see. It's got lots of wear, but still really liking this one. Still nice and overstable, forehand, backhand, doesn't turn over, hits the ground and stops. Loving the A2. It's been in my bag for over a year now. For those really windy days though, I do have a 750 plastic A2. Really liking this one in headwind situations when I just gotta get down, gotta get up the fairway, not turn over. The A2 is what I reach for, and in this case 750 plastic. So for headwind days, this is what I go with. I do also have an A3 in the bag. This is new to my bag for this year. 750 plastic again, nice and stiff, can throw it backhand and forehand. Really liking it for longer, kind of mid-range shots, going into that like 300 feet, 325 feet. I can put it on a little bit of anhyzer and it fights back. Really liking this one. It's worked its way into a great spot in my bag that I was missing before. So loving the 750 A3. Into my mid-ranges, I carry 2 M4s. So I've got a pretty flippy one, this yellow one here. Just a misprint M4 400 plastic, or sorry, 750 plastic. Really liking this one for really flippy, longer shots, even some like scramble shots with rollers and stuff like that, or really flippy forehands. This one's been in my bag pretty much since the beginning, and it's nice and beat up now. I've got another 750 M4. This one is not quite as understable. Anything that really I need to go straight or slightly right, slightly left, this is the one I'm going to. Nice workhorse disc, just kind of anything in that 320, 350 foot range, 750 M4, that's usually what I'm reaching for. Lastly, in the mid-ranges, I've got a Proto M3, which for those who know Prodigy a little bit, turned into the M2. These guys are awesome. I lost one last year and my buddy Nick Breer hooked me up with this one. Love this disc. If I need a mid-range shot that needs to get left at the end, this is the one I go with. It doesn't really turn over. It just goes straight and hyzers out. Love it for a lot of my mid-range shots, especially in the wind. Into fairway drivers. First off, got my Kevin Jones F5. This is the 500 plastic. F5 is the best fairway driver I think ever. Love it. Nice and understable, can throw it on hyzer and it'll flip up to flat and just go. If I'm on the fairway, the wind's not too bad, I'm using the F5. I do carry two F1s as well. Got a 500 plastic F1 and a 400 plastic F1 as well. This one's old, but it is very overstable. Forehand shots down the fairway, it's usually what I'm reaching for. Nice and overstable. This pink 500 F1 is much straighter. Just goes straight, hyzers out, control driver, nothing too crazy. Love this one as well. I also carry an H2. So got the H2, again, Kevin Jones Signature Series from a couple of years back. This guy's just straight. If I want something that's, you know, not gonna hyzer out like a distance driver, this H2 is what I go for. Really like this one for a lot of drives, a lot of up shots as well. If I need to get far and go straight, H2 is what I'm going with. I do also have an FX2. This one's, I keep in my bag for a couple of reasons. Nice and overstable. Again, 500 plastic, nice and overstable. Longer forehand shots, liking this one. It also has a paw print and a little heart for my wife on there as well. Paw print for my dog, heart for my wife. So I keep this one for sentimental reasons, and also it's nice when the wind gets up to have this in the bag for those situations. On to the drivers. So I like the D1 a lot. These two guys have been in my bag since basically since I joined Prodigy. I've got two 750G D1s. This guy's super beat up, just hyzers out and flips and just goes for a long time. If I need to throw some fun rollers or sky ante shots, this guy is a ton of fun. And then I got this one that just came back to me from being in the water. So it is holding up, but again, pretty flippy. Just throw it on hyzer, let it flip to flat, and it just goes for a long time. Really liking those two D1s in 750 plastic. Been throwing those since I've joined Prodigy. For my main distance drivers, I've got two more 750G D1s. These ones are tie-dyed by my buddy Jackson. So thanks Jackson for dyeing these for me. These are my workhorses for drivers. If I need something to get into a good spot in the fairway, it doesn't matter if the wind's up a little bit or down. If I just need something to go straight for a while and then hyzer back at the end, get me into a good spot, these two are what I go for. These are my main drivers. Loving the D1s. I do also have one 400 D2. This one is a little bit kind of in between those discs. Again, it's got a little bit of stability to it, but nice and straight. If I've got some tailwind, I usually go for this one. Goes straight for a while, finishes a little bit at the end, but really fun throwing this disc. I do also, I recently put a Falcor in the bag, Kale LaVisca's new disc. Been trying this one out. It kind of is similar to my my main D1s that I throw, so still trying to figure out where it works in my bag. But yeah, I've been trying this one out. Again, it's got some stability to it, but flips up to flat, rides for a while, and then does come back at the end. So we'll see if this one sticks in, but it's been pretty good to me so far. I also do have a reverb for those shots where I want that straight drive and then finish at the end to get me into a good spot. But the wind's up a little bit. The reverb is usually what I go for. It's nice and stable. Headwind doesn't really affect it too much. I find that that it still hyzers out at the end. So been throwing this one a bunch these days. I have one last D1. This one, overstable, super overstable. If I just need to get left, this is what I go with. I have this one and another red one that I'm kind of switching in between. If I want a nice forehand shot that's just gonna go right, big hyzers around things, but then spike in at the end. This 400 D1, nice and overstable. Been using that for a long time as well. Lastly, I've got two kind of fun utility discs. I do carry a 400G D4. This guy is super flippy. If I'm throwing a roller, this is what I'm going with. If it's a scramble shot out of trouble, this is what I'm going with. This 400G D4 has got me out of a lot of tight situations. Also fun for some thumbers and some tomahawks as well. So yeah, if I'm throwing a roller, throwing something fun, D4 is what I go with. Last but not least, I've got the X1. So the X1, for those again who know Prodigy a little bit, They've been out of production for a long time. This one's from 2014 in the proto plastic. Just super, super, super overstable. If I'm throwing a grenade, this is what I'm throwing. If often I've thrown them for thumbers and tomahawks, depending on which way I want them to go. If the wind's up and I need something to get me into the position I need, and I have to trust something, the X1 is what I go with. It's been dependable, even though it's seen its share of mud and dirt and fun situations. If it's windy, you'll see me throwing the X1 a lot. That is what I'm throwing this year. Thanks to Prodigy. Thanks everyone for kind of supporting me as I go around playing some tournaments this year, and that's what's in my bag.